Hello guys, welcome back. I'm Yusuf Shakeel and you are watching JavaScript tutorial series. In this video, we are going to learn about arrays. So let's get started. Alright guys, I have opened the project folder in Sublime Text, and inside the project folder, I have created a new file array.html, and I've written the following code. And inside the JS folder, I have created a new file array.js, which is this one. And I've included this array.js file inside this HTML file by writing this script tag. And now let us go ahead and open this file in Chrome. So we'll open the project folder and we'll open the array.html file. And we'll also open the DevTools. So we'll go to View, Developer, and we'll select the DevTools. And then we'll move to the Console tab. And since it is empty at the moment, that means we don't have any error. All right. Now let's say we have 3 fruits, apple, mango, and orange, and we want to save the name of those fruits in variables. So if we have 3 fruits, so we'll need 3 variables to store their name. So 3 fruits and 3 variables. So var fruits1, and this can be apple. Then we have var fruits2, this can be mango, and var fruits3, and this can be orange. Now you can see in this method we have created 3 variables to store the name of 3 fruits. Now imagine if we have 100 fruits. So in that scenario, we have to create 100 variables to store the name of the 100 fruits. Now that is not an efficient way to work with the names. So we use array to solve that problem. So this time we are going to have 3 fruits and 1 array variable. And in JavaScript, we create an array using square brackets. So let's say we have a variable var fruits, and this is an array, and we create array using square brackets. So we'll have the opening and closing square brackets and semicolon. And inside the square brackets, we'll have the name of the fruits. So the first fruit is apple. So within double quotes, we'll write apple. Then we'll use comma. Then we'll name the second fruit, which is mango. Then the third, so orange. And now we have a variable, a single variable, which is of type array. And inside the square brackets, we have the name of the fruits. So we have 3 fruits. So we have written apple, comma, mango, comma, orange. So an array is a special variable that holds multiple value under a same name. So in this case, we have a variable fruits, and it is an array, and it holds multiple values. Now each value of an array is called the element of that array, and each element is indexed, and we start the index from 0. So in this example, apple is an element of the fruits array, and its index is 0. Similarly, mango is an element of the fruits array, and its index is 1. Similarly, orange is an element of the fruits array, and its index is 2. Now in order to check that, we can console log fruits, and we can save this file, and if we reload, we get an array. And you can see this array has 3 elements. Index 0 has apple, index 1 has mango and index 2 has orange. Now in order to find the number of elements inside an array, we use the length property. So if we want to find number of elements inside the fruits array, we can write console.log and let's say number of elements, and we can write name of the variable, which is fruits, and since it's an array, so it will have the length property, and to access the length property we'll use dot and then we'll write length. And now if we save the file, go back to Chrome, clear the console, and if we reload, we get number of elements 3. Now let's say we want to print all the elements inside an array. Now in order to do that, we can use a for loop, a while loop, or a do while loop. So let's say we want to print all the elements inside the fruits array. So let's say we want to use the for loop. So we'll write for, and we'll have a variable I which we'll set to 0. Since index of an array starts from 0, so we are setting variable I to 0. Then we'll check whether the value of I is less than fruits.length. That is, whether the value of I is less than number of elements inside that fruit array. Then we'll increment the value of I by 1. So we are writing I++. And now inside the for loop, let's say we want to document.write the element at the ith index. And in order to access any element of an array at the ith index, we write the name of the array, which is fruits. Then we use the square brackets, and then we pass the index, which is I in this case. And now we'll save this file, go back to Chrome, clear the console, and if we reload, we get apple, mango, and orange. Of course, we don't have any space, so we can fix that by, let's say, adding paragraph tag. And now if we save the file, go back to Chrome, and reload, we get apple, mango, and orange. Let's explore this for loop code. So we have a variable I which is set to 0 because index of an array starts from 0. Then in the condition, we are checking whether the value of I is less than fruits.length, that is, number of elements inside the fruits array. Now as you know, fruits.length will give us 3 because there are 3 elements in the fruits array. And the last element of the fruits array will have index 1 less than the number of elements. That is, the length of the fruits array is 3, so the last element will have index 3 minus 1, that is 2. So for example, let's say if any array has 100 elements, so the length of that array is 100, and the last element will have index 100 minus 1, that is 99. So in this case, our fruits array has 3 elements, so the length of the fruits array is 3, and the last element, which is orange, this orange element has index 3 minus 1, that is 2. So we have the variable I which starts from 0. Then in the condition, we are checking whether the value of I is less than number of elements in the fruits array. And then in the update, we are increasing the value of I by 1. So we have written I++. And inside the for loop, we have document.write, and to access any element of an array, we use the name of the array, in this case fruits, then we have the square brackets, and then we pass the index of the element that we want to use. In this case, we are passing I. So initially, value of I is 0, and the condition I less than fruits.length is true. So we enter the for loop. So fruits 0 gives us element at the index 0, and element at index 0 is apple. So fruits 0 gives us apple. So we document.write apple, and then we increment the value of I by 1. So I is now 1, and the condition I less than fruits.length is again true. So fruits 1 gives us element at the index 1, and element at index 1 is mango. So fruits 1 gives us mango. So we print mango, then we update the value of I by 1. So now I is 2, and the condition I less than fruits.length is still true. So fruits 2 will give us element at index 2, and element at index 2 is orange, so fruits 2 will give us orange. And then after printing orange, we'll increase the value of I by 1. So I is now 3, and the condition I less than fruits.length is now false. So we come out of the for loop, and when this code runs, we get apple, mango, and orange. There are other ways of creating an array, so let me comment this. And let's create a fruits array by instantiating an array object. So we'll write var name of the variable, which is fruits, and this variable will be an array, and we are creating that array by instantiating an array object. So we'll write new array. So this creates an empty array. So fruits, this variable becomes an array, and now we can add element to this fruits array. And to add elements to a fruits array, we use square brackets and index of the element. So let's say we want to add apple at index 1, not index 0, but index 1. So we'll write fruits within square brackets 1, and then we'll assign the name of the fruit, which is apple. And then let's say we want to add mango at index 3. So we'll write fruits, which is the name of the variable. Then we'll write the square brackets, then the index, which is 3 in this case, and we'll write mango. And finally, let's say we want to add orange at index 4. So we'll use the name of the fruits array, square brackets, then index, which is 4, and then name of the fruit, which is orange. So we have a fruits array containing 3 elements, but they are at different index, and they are not starting from index 0. And please note, if we don't set any index of an array, then by default, it is set to undefined. So in this case, fruits 0 is missing, so fruit 0 is set to undefined. Then we have fruit 1, which is set to apple. Then fruits 2, that is element at index 2, is missing, so index 2 will contain undefined. Then we have fruits 3, so index 3 contains mango. Then we have fruits 4, that is index 4 contains orange. So if we console log this fruits, we'll get 5 elements, and index 0 will contain undefined and index 2 will contain undefined, whereas index 1 will contain apple and index 3 will contain mango and index 4 will contain orange. So if we console log fruits, we'll get 5 elements. And if we console log length of the fruits, which will tell us the number of elements in that fruits, we'll get 5. So if we write number of elements in the fruits array, so we are using fruits.length property. So now if we save this file, go back to Chrome, clear the console, and if we reload, you can see we get undefined at index 0, then we get apple, which is at index 1, then we get undefined at index 2, then we get mango at index 3, and then we get orange at index 4. And number of elements is 5. So if we don't assign any value to any index, then that index is set to undefined. The next topic is array methods. So let me comment this. And the first method that we are going to talk about is concat. So concat. We use the concat method to concatenate two arrays and get a new one. So for example, let's say we have an array ar1 and it contains, let's say, two elements A and B. And let's say we have another array ar2 and it contains a single element, let's say C. And we want to concatenate ar1 and ar2 and we want to get the final result in ar3. So we'll have another variable var ar3 and we are concatenating array2 to array1. So we'll write ar1 dot concat and we'll pass ar2. So now array3 will contain all the elements of array1, then all the elements of array2. So if we console log array1 and if we console log array2 and if we console log array3, we'll get for this console log A, B. For this console log, we'll get the element of array2, which is C. And for this console log, we'll get all the elements of array3, which is A, B, C. So if we save this file, go back to Chrome, clear the console and reload. So we get two elements from array1, that is A, B. We get single element from array2, that is C. And we get the concatenated result of array3, that is 3 elements, and we get A, B, C. Now let's talk about the pop method. So let me comment this. The next topic is pop method. And we use the pop method to remove the last element from an array. So for example, let's say we have a variable var array1 and let's say it contains 3 elements A, B and C, and we want to pop or remove the last element, that is C, from this array1. So var pop element And to pop that element, we'll write name of the array dot pop, and this will remove element C from array 1. And we are saving that element in pop element variable. So if we console log initial content of array 1, we'll get all the 3 elements, that is a comma b comma c. And after we do the pop, we can console log the pop element, and then we can also console log the final content of the array 1. So if we save the file, go back to Chrome, clear the console and reload, we get the initial value a comma b comma c, then c, which is popped out, which is the last element. Then we get the final value of the array 1, that is a comma b. The opposite of pop method is the push method, and we use the push method when we want to add a new element at the end of an array. So let me comment this, and our next topic is the push method. So let's say we have a variable var array1, and it contains, let's say, 3 elements a, b, and c, and we want to push or add element d at the end of array 1. So we'll write array1 dot push, and we'll pass the element, which is d, and then we can console log array 1. So initial content of array 1 will give us a comma b comma c. Then we are pushing or adding d at the end of array 1. So the final content of array 1 will give us a comma b comma c comma d. So if we save this file and go back to Chrome, clear the console, and if we reload, we get the initial content of array 1 a comma b comma c. Then we get the final content after we have pushed element d. So the final content is a comma b comma c comma d. The next method that we'll discuss is the indexOf method, and we use the indexOf method to find whether an element is present in an array. If the element is present, we get the index of that element, and in case if that element is not present in that array, we get -1. So let us go ahead and comment this, and we'll now talk about indexOf method. So let's say we have a variable var array1, and this array contains, let's say, 3 elements a, b, c. And let's say we want to find whether this array array1 contains element d, which we can see and tell that it is not there. So if we want to find whether this array contains element d, we can console.log, and we can write indexOf, and we can write array1 dot indexOf, and we pass the element that we are looking for, which is d in this case. And since this array contains a, b, c, and there is no element d, so this will return -1. So if we save the file, go back to Chrome, clear the console and reload, we get indexOf and the value is -1. So D is not present. But let me copy this and comment this. Now let's say we want to find whether this array R1 contains element B. So we'll write array1 dot indexOf and we'll pass B. And since this array contains element B and it is at index 1, so this will give us index 1. So if we save the file, go back to Chrome, clear the console, and if we reload, we get index 1. So we can have a if and else statement which can tell us whether the element is present or not. So let me comment this, and let's say we have a if statement and we have r1 dot indexOf, then we'll pass the element that we are looking for, and if the value is greater than -1, then it means we can console.log and say that the element is present in the array. Else we can console.log the element is not present in the array. So if we want to check whether D is present in the array or not present in the array, we can simply write array1 dot indexOf and we can pass D. If the value returned by this indexOf method is greater than -1, then the element that we are looking for is present in the array. Else it is not present in the array. So if we run this code, we'll get the element is not present in the array because this method indexOf will return -1. So if we save the file, go back to Chrome, clear the console and reload, we get the element is not present in the array. But if we change the value of D to, let's say, C, then in this case, indexOf method will return the index of element C, which is 2 in this case. And 2 is greater than -1, so we'll get the element is present in the array in the console. So if we save the file, go back to Chrome, and if we now reload, we get the element is present in the array. There are more methods that I have included on my website with their code and output, so you can check them out. And you can also copy paste the code on your favorite text editor and then run it and see the output in your browser. So all the other important methods like unshift or slice or anything like toString or filter, all the methods with their code and output is there on my website. I will encourage you to go ahead and copy and try them out and see the output and try to use them and experiment. Alright guys, this brings us to the end of this tutorial. I'll post the tutorial notes on my website duyclassroom.com, and all the code that we are writing in this tutorial series, I'll put them in my GitHub repository. You will find all the important links in the video description, so please check that out. And if you find this video interesting, then please like this video and please subscribe my channel. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video, and like always, stay happy and keep smiling. Bye.